Hey everybody, welcome to Moto Adventures, formerly KLR Nomad, and I'm Joel. In the last video, I mentioned some changes to the channel, so I felt the name change was necessary and in order. First of all, got a new bike, a very different type of bike, and the channel, I'm going to be expanding the scope of the content. It's not just going to be all things KLR related. It's going to be all sorts of motorcycle related adventures, discussion topics, and whatnot. So, uh, what brought this on is about a year ago. I toyed with the idea of sport touring. And if you're unfamiliar, basically you're going to have a performance, a pretty decent performance motorcycle, but you're going to have luggage. You're going to have mainly street related trips because that's what those bikes are for. They're not an ADV. They're going to be a little more comfortable on the interstate, and they're also going to be able to handle the twisties a little better. They're going to be set up, the geometry, the wheel size combo, and all of that is going to be set up more for touring on the road. So, because you're not going to be going over logs, right? And rock gardens. Anyway, I wanted something more comfortable on the interstate because a lot of my trips, like even when I take the KLR to the mountains here in North Carolina or South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, whatnot around here, is in order to get to the off-road stuff, I'm still spending a lot of time on the street and I'm having to avoid interstates because, well, you know how the KLR is on the interstate, getting tossed around by wind and whatnot. So that's what that's what got, I've had a little too much of this. Just had a sip, but it was a potent sip apparently. Um, Tonight I drink for Scotland. Don't know what that means, but I'm doing it. Anyway, so I wanted something that I could be comfortable long distance on pavement for a variety of types of destinations and trips. Um, so I started looking at sport touring bikes. And a caveat to me wanting a sport touring bike is I also need something that is fun to commute on, not just fun, but capable. I guess that's intertwined. To commute on through suburban to urban high traffic environments on my way to and from work every day. The KLR being so top heavy and just not quick enough to make a quick lane change as necessary in heavy traffic, that sort of thing. It just didn't suit me. I didn't enjoy it. Other people use the KLR to commute all the time. I don't know what the traffic is like in their life. It was just not cool, not fun for me. So I wanted something I could do highway and be nimble in heavy traffic. So I was looking at sport touring bikes. I really kind of settled in on the Suzuki GSXS 1000 GT as a sport tourer. It's what it's labeled as. It's what it's designed for. Two problems I had with it. When I sit on it, I'm leaned way over um, to get to the bars, and they're not adjustable. Um, and so I'm kind of stretched out. It's got a fairly long wheelbase, and of course, it's going to be comfortable on the interstate. The thing's probably like a Cadillac on the interstate, and it's still got the GSX line of power plant, big 1,000 liter bike, and it's got big hard cases, top box, comfortable seats for you and a passenger. Um, yeah, it would probably be pretty cool for those long interstate rides and even some twisty highway or byways or whatever you want to call them through the mountain passes and such. Um, but I was thinking through the high traffic commutes to work, it'd probably be. I really haven't had that much, I promise. It would probably be quite cumbersome. Okay, and I didn't want something else that was unfun on a daily basis, on a daily commute, because it was just big and heavy. And yes, the weight's lower to the ground than the KLR, but it's still big and heavy. Um, so I was looking around at um, even naked bikes. I was looking at the more traditional retro cool, like the Triumph Bonnevilles, the Moto Guzzi V7s, and the Kawasaki Z900 Cafe. A lot of those, but I sat on one of those, or sat on all of those, and it just felt too upright, beach cruiser. You know, when I'm saying beach cruiser, I mean bicycle. You know, like the old mean lady in the Wizard of Oz. It just had that feel to it sitting. It was too proper. I needed an English accent to ride one of those, and I don't want to fake an English accent every day. So I kind of nixed that idea. So another problem with a sport touring bike. Let me double back. Let me circle back. Um, they're expensive. They've got a lot of features. They got big engines. They're big bikes. Lots of material to make big bikes. Really cool high tech hard cases and whatnot. They're expensive. 15 grand MSRP. Add on the dealership fees and taxes and whatnot, and then you're looking 18 to 20,000 out the door, realistically. And then your insurance company is going to charge you for that too, because they got to replace all that if you damage it or somebody steals it. So the insurance is going to be high. So two big hits: not nimble in traffic, expensive. And I'm just not. I'm one of those. Even if I could spend 20 grand on a motorcycle, I'm not gonna. I don't care what it does. It could wash my dishes and my underwear. I'm not spending 20 grand on a motorcycle. Sorry. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Um, but I did a lot of research. I went and looked at all the Big Rock Moto. I looked at, because he does some more street oriented stuff. And I looked at Yami Noob a lot. His videos probably sent me over the edge on what I did choose to ride or buy and ride. Um, so much online research, probably to the detriment of everything else in my life for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then, because I get obsessed when I like, I want to get something, I get obsessed. Um, so online obsession, I went to multiple dealerships of all makes, sat on everything that could possibly fit my criteria. And the one bike I kept coming back to, I finally talked to a dealer, got serious, um, and ran the numbers and argued. I spent 3 hours back and forthing with the sales staff to get rid of as much of that inflated BS dealership list of fees. They wanted to put a GPS tracker on it for me. I don't want a GPS tracker for me. I don't want to spend $1,200 for a GPS tracker. If the bike gets stolen, that's why I pay my insurance every month. So, whatever. Steal it, take it. I get another one. I don't want it back after it's been stolen. You know, it's probably been crashed and torn up anyway. So, short story long, I spent lots of hours dickering with the dealership. I did get a pretty good price out the door, and I will talk about that just in case you decide to purchase one of these as well. If you're looking for something that you can do sport touring, have fun in the twisties, and go daily ride it, and it's so much fun. This bike is more fun than any other bike I've ever owned in my life on the street. Now, nothing's more fun than a two-stroke dirt bike on the dirt. Nothing's that fun. I mean, I haven't met a woman that fun. Um, so, but on the street, this thing is crazy fun. I find the long way to go everywhere I go when I'm on it. I circle around. If the normal trip would take you 20 minutes, I found an hour-long route because that's how much fun this bike is. Highly recommend it. So without further ado, it is. I know, you're like, what in the world are you thinking? That is a sport bike, right? You're gonna be crouched over, uncomfortable, and where are you gonna put all your moto camping gear? I know, it's what you're thinking. Then when I was researching all the possibilities of what bike I was gonna get for sport touring and commuting to work in a high traffic environment, I saw a picture of one of these with, guess what? I'll show you. Yep. And this is all Suzuki branded stuff. Yep. Bear with me. This is cool stuff. That's right. Side cases that you can get from the dealer. Boom. And they expand out to 20 liters each. Okay? I might not be in the shot the way I want, but I think so. They come with, they're really well made. I was really happy with them. And they come with dry bags for each one. So yeah, brackets and bags are all Suzuki stuff, get from the dealer, and I even got them included in the deal with everything. So this, if you're not familiar with a GSX 8R, they have an 8S, which is a naked bike. I preferred the fairing. I did add a sport touring windscreen. The factory one is about down to here and it's clear. This looks better, functions a little bit better, gets the air off your chest, and you're gonna feel it on your head, but with a good helmet, that helps. So, these MSRP at 96 and change, which for 84 horsepower, 6 speeds, TFT display, ride modes, ABS modes, traction control modes, all this good stuff, that's a lot better than the 15K for a sport touring bike. And it's nimble. And my Spartan style of moto camping works out perfectly. I just went on a trip, and I'll include some footage in this video. I basically just had these expanded and then a normal 30-liter dry bag on top with rock straps. And that took everything I needed, kept all the heavy stuff low and the lighter stuff up on top. Took it through the mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Southwest Virginia. Took it on the interstate for hours on end. Couldn't be happier. This bike makes me giggle, especially after riding a KLR 650 for 3 years, which is 65 miles an hour and faster on the interstate, is wobbly and windy. This thing on a windy day doing 80 miles an hour down the interstate, going by semi trucks and everything else, this bike was rock solid. Did not buffet around at all. Now I felt the buffeting in my shoulders and above, but the bike stayed solid, and that for me is huge compared to what I've been riding. Everybody's like, oh, but it's a crotch rocket, you're gonna be leaned over, your back's gonna hurt for long miles. This particular bike, and these are factory, have these clip-on bars that are kind of up. If you notice, they're not down here where a crotch rocket bars normally are. They're up here. So you have a very, oops, dropped sunglasses 1,000th time. You have a very upright, for the case of a sport bike, you have a very upright sitting position. So I can sit like this most of the time. And then if I'm really going to town on the interstate and the wind is hitting me, I just lean down like this, just drop my elbows, and I can ride like this for a couple hours without needing to pull over. Gas mileage, depending on how you're riding it, is in the 50 to 60 mile per gallon range for most of the riding. And I've put in the Suzuki USB charge port. I've got my normal $30 wireless charging phone holder with a stem mount, same one I have on my KLR. I like it. It doesn't vibrate like the more expensive stuff does. And then put me a little camera mount on here. But other than that, she's stock. I've had this bike for 3 weeks. I've got just over 1,600 miles on it in 3 weeks. That's how much I love this bike. I ride it to work and enjoy the entire ride. And then the whole time I'm at work, I can't wait to get off work so I can go ride to get, on the way home. And I take as much 2-lane twisty as I can find to get home. So, yep, there you have it. This is my miniature sport tourer, and I love it. So if you're looking for something like that, that's easy to handle, easy to maneuver physically, in parking lots and in your garage and everywhere else, I highly recommend this bike for that job. So, like I said, I took this on a 900-mile, 3-day moto-camping trip where I just tarp camped, like I like to do, and you'll get to see some footage of that. I'm still learning about how to ride this through the twisties versus the 3.5 years of riding something very tall, very top heavy on a 2117 wheel combo through the twisties. So I did a lot of counter leaning on the KLR, and this one I'm learning to actually lean. My chicken strips are gonna get smaller, I promise. But yeah, it's confidence building, and you're thinking, oh, it's a midlife crisis sport bike, and no, it's just comfortable. It's comfortable, and it's capable, and this thing just rocks and rolls like nothing I've ever ridden. So I've had cruisers, I've had the 2 KLRs and dirt bikes, and I've ridden Gixxers that belong to friends, but this just hits the sweet spot if you're thinking about sport touring. And really, if you haven't decided if you're going to get an ADV bike or what might be better for you, but you want to do long distance, you want to have adventures, but you're probably not, for whatever reason, physically, age, just don't care to do the off-road hard stuff, dude, I'm telling you, this thing is fun. And it hits the sweet spot of price and maneuverability and speed and comfort. This little seat is so much more comfortable than my KLR seat. I've had 2 different seats on the KLR. This thing, I can do 4 hours on this seat and my butt's not screaming at me. I do an hour and a half on the KLR. I got to pull over and get off, walk around. So, or stand up on my pegs, and everybody thinks, oh, look, yeah, ADV riders standing up on the street. Yeah, because we're resting our butts, all right? Because the seats suck. But not here. I was riding 10 hours a day on my trip, and that was great. I was a little sore on the ride home at the last part on the interstate because there's no stoplights or any of that to kind of give you that little break. But yeah, man, can't recommend it enough. But stick with the channel, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll be doing some more trips on this, and there'll still be some trips on the KLR, I'm sure.
All right, entering Blue Ridge Parkway. This is the southern terminus, or beginning, or whatever. Ah, shit, I just stalled the bike for the first time in my life.
into. Got the old GSX-8R right here. Got my head, my blankie, my whoopee rolled up and leaned against it. Yeah. It's a nice little shelter here. It's cozy. But I just want you to know, here in North Carolina, Tennessee, I'm right on the border. I'm literally on the border between those two states. The North Carolina side of the road is dirt, and the Tennessee side is pavement. So, think for that what you will. But I am under full attack, Soviet-style mass attack by Granddaddy Longlegs in my tarp shelter, motorcycle tarp shelter. These little bastards. I smashed a whole shit ton of them. I was hoping the death and dismemberment, the stench of death of their own kind, their kin, would repel the rest of them. It has not worked. I think they're pissed. Now they're getting into my sleeping bag and crawling on my face, and it's irritating as shit. I have not enough bourbon to sleep through spiders on my face. Joe. All right, end of report.
That sweets and eats. Why couldn't you be a brewery? Pull over here. So started today at the North Carolina-Tennessee border, and where I was turned around by dirt roads because I'm on a street bike this time, and rode to Sevierville, ate at Chubby's, home cooking. It was good. It was good, but it was country. Family run, had their teens and preteens waiting tables and whatnot. It was cool. They were very nice. Food was good, reasonably priced. And anyway, there wasn't really much. I asked them, what should I ride around and see in that area, and they really didn't have anything. They were like, "Oh, go to Gatlinburg." Did that yesterday. So rode up through Bristol, and then here to Damascus, and I'm having a beer at a distillery and brewery, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I looked up on the Google and found a place called Willville Bike Camp. And so it's a campground solely for motorcycles. Some of you guys probably have stayed there before. I have not. So I called them, got a voicemail, left them a message. Whether they call me back or not, I don't know. I'm going to ride there. And because it's about 3:15 in the afternoon, I don't want to hang around Damascus that long. It's too early. There's a restaurant here I really like to eat at, but I'm not hungry, and I don't want to wait around until I am hungry to eat. So I'm going to ride to Willville Bike Camp and see if they got a spot for me. I don't know if I'll get a cabin or a bunkhouse or just a lean-to, but we'll see. So, cheers. Okay. Alrighty. So I stopped at the campground, motorcycle campground, and they are indeed open, and they are having quite a few people already. So I downloaded my stuff, paid for a night, and then came out here to get some beer. Every motorcycle camping campground, the dogs are in charge, as it should be.
substantial facility. And here we are, my little spot in heaven. So yeah, can't beat that, huh? I just gotta set up camp. Pretty cool.
So there you have it. I got a sport bike. I converted it into a sport touring bike. And like I said 1,000 times already, I'm having more fun than a bathtub full of boobies. I promise. That bike is so much fun. And it's light, it's nimble, it goes where you point it. It's just so different than what I've been riding for the last 3.5 years, with the KLR. Yeah, it doesn't have superbike horsepower numbers. I don't need superbike horsepower numbers. I don't want superbike horsepower numbers. I've never used it. The torque in this bike comes on low. I'm talking like 2,500 to 3,000 RPM. This thing will pull the front wheel off the ground even when you don't want to. I have accidentally had the front wheel off the ground in the 1-2 shift more than once. So that power is just there. You need to do a quick lane change, it's there. I love it. Have I told you how much I like the bike? So anyway, this channel is going to cover some sport touring, things we can do on pavement that are fun. I still do the camping, and I still do the moto camping. I don't like doing the hotels unless I'm in a really bad weather situation that came on by surprise. It's just, to me, wasted time and money. I would rather sit by a campfire in with my lean-to and my bike in the woods or in a campsite than sitting by myself in a hotel room with cable TV. I just doesn't appeal to me. So, but this bike on this last trip proved perfect. So comfortable, capable, and very much fun. Anyway, hope you like, subscribe, and set the little dingy bell and all that stuff so you get the alerts when I do put new content. I'm not going to be very prolific because life. But anytime I do anything I think would be fun to watch or interesting or informative, or if I have something in my head where I'm going to come up with a conversation about a topic, here's the next topic, okay? Kawasaki just came out with the KLE 500 to get into the light adventure bike market. My next bike is going to be the replacement for my KLR. Okay, I want something that when I am in my 60s, I can pick it up when I drop it off-road or anywhere. If I'm in a parking spot and I've got the handlebars turned and I accidentally tap the front brake and it slams down on the ground. Happened before on big KLR, so it can happen on anything, I would imagine, especially for top heavy. But I want something in the neighborhood of the KTM 390 Adventure R, the Ibex 450. So Kawasaki just came out. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and anticipating all the specs on this KLE 500, and I'll let you know what I think about it in the next video. So, until next time, drink good bourbon.